Kamala Harris has finally agreed to sit down and do an interview. It's finally going to happen. Here's some details.
That CNN will hold an exclusive interview with Kamala Harris, her first since becoming the Democratic presidential nominee. Her running mate, Tim Walz, will join as well for this first interview. This is also their first interview together as the Democratic ticket. Let's bring in our CNN political director, David Chalian. So, David, what are we learning?
Yeah, I mean, we have been waiting to see this next sort of important hurdle for Kamala Harris and her campaign to jump, which is after a very successful 6 weeks here since she became the Democratic nominee, coalesced the party behind her, raised a ton of money, injected enthusiasm, got a running mate, pulled off a convention. All of that, though, Alex, very scripted. Now, a couple other things coming up. They said they were going to schedule an interview, a sit-down interview, an extensive interview before the end of the month. That now is happening on CNN with our colleague Dana Bash, our anchor and chief political correspondent, down in Georgia. Harris and Walz are going on this bus tour starting tomorrow in Georgia. The interview will take place on Thursday. It will air as a primetime special at 9 p.m. Eastern here on CNN on Thursday. And as you noted, it is, of course, the first joint interview that the Democratic nominee and the vice presidential nominee are doing together. But it's also her first interview, the vice president, as the Democratic candidate. This is the first time she's going to take questions in a concerted effort like this in an interview format since Joe Biden 6 weeks ago upended this entire race by making.
Yeah, man. I don't care who you are. I understand we have differences of opinion. Let's be really, really clear. This is weak sauce. Let's be really, really clear. This is what losers do. Let's be really, 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 really clear. You ain't ready. Or that's a phrase from Tiffany Haddish. She ready? How about she ain't ready? You haven't had a sit-down interview since you took the nomination, since you were handed the nomination. Okay? And now you can't even sit down and talk to Dana Bash at CNN. It's not like you walking into a buzzsaw. You can't sit down with CNN by yourself as the potential commander-in-chief, man, the one that's been sitting in the Situation Room, the one that's been sitting in the room with Biden when we have decided to send bombs or pull troops. I mean, you've been that close to everything with Biden, and you can't sit with Dana Bash and talk. You got to bring Timmy. They're not calling her a coward for this. They're not calling her lame for this. Now, just imagine if Trump wouldn't do a sit-down unless J.D. Vance was with him. We ain't even going to try to imagine it. Double standards. Triple standards, Johnson. This is the lamest of the lame. This is supposed to be like an extra thing you do after you've done a couple sit-downs. Then you sit down with your VP, maybe, and be like, yo, we're just doing this for fun, man, to show you the chemistry with the team. Now, you don't do this first. First, you should have already did this. You should, in my opinion, Kamala Harris should have already sat down with somebody before she even brought in Tim Walz. Let me get this right as well. Let me go there. Let's go here all the way. Because I got people that are saying, Tim Black, you must be a Trump supporter. No, I'm a reporter. I'm a commentator. I'm actually as more unbiased than probably anybody you watch because I don't like neither one of these parties. And I'm not afraid to say it. In fact, that's my brand. Both parties suck, Johnson. I'm for the people. Put it to you this way. Donald Trump has been called racist, basically a Klan member that hates black people for 8 years. And you know what he did? He went to the National Association of Black Journalists by himself in the most hostile of territories. Did not have pre-screened questions. And sat there for an hour. He caught hell for it. Because he said what so many black people been saying, which is, hey, Kamala was black. I mean, she's been basically running and putting herself out as an Indian American for this entire time till she starts running for office, till she wants to be VP, and then it goes back to Indian, then it's back to black. He said only what people been saying. We don't want to dig that back up. What I'm saying is he did that. Kamala can't do that. Kamala hasn't done that. I believe it's because she can't do it. Now, you can tell me all the reasons in the world. You can make up whatever type of fantastical stories you like to tell yourself. But you can't tell me why someone who wants to be president of the United States can't do a sit down in a friendly environment. She can't, folks, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I know all the people that are selling out, all the people that, oh my God, Kamala, all these people that are so in love with this woman, so enamored, they got all their hopes and dreams. And I'm sorry, man, they should have never set you up this way. I sincerely feel bad. I have a granddaughter, she's 12 years old. Her name is Naomi. And she's watching this. And she's about to get her heart broke. Because that little 12-year-old girl who's watching what could be the first woman president of the United States fall flat on her face, all because the Democrats wanted to prop her up when she ain't ready. There's something to be said about going through all of the steps in order to get to a place so that when you get to the place, you are ready for that opportunity. Now, that's what she says, opportunity, the opportunity economy, the opportunity this, the opportunity that. It was littered all over her speeches, all over her speech, I'm sorry, her stump speech. Only got like one speech. Okay. But what happens? She doesn't take her own advice. You have to be prepared for the opportunity. Kamala Harris is not prepared for the opportunity. So what the Democrats have done, and it's very selfish, I believe, and I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm going to say this. I believe the Democratic Party has no real belief that Kamala Harris will win this election. I believe that there are many of those in the Democratic Party, the elites, they would put, if they had to bet their own money, they would put it on Trump. They chose Kamala because they wanted to keep black women in the party. Because black women, if they didn't let Kamala run, and if anybody challenged her, they would have, Newsom would have beat her, Gretchen Whitmer would have beat her, Josh Shapiro would have beat her. She would not be the nominee if they allowed it to go to convention, if they allowed it to be an actual primary or whatever, any type of form of voting. And they knew that would cost them black women. So hands were tied. They had to go with Kamala, and they're just happy if they're able to keep some seats in the House and Senate, because they were looking at a shellacking. So they're just trying to avoid getting shellacked. I can't imagine a scenario where Democrats really think it's okay that you can't go and sit down and talk to people, that you can't do an interview, that you can't. So she is unprepared. And now she's going to go out here, she's going to fail. Okay? She's going to fail. It's not going to work. And they're going to blame the racist society. But first they're going to blame black men. Then they're going to blame racist society. First it's going to be black men didn't do enough. Oh, if only black men was like D.L. Hughley. If only we was like Ricky Smiley and Uncle Luke and all the other, all the Steve Harvey. If only black American men, or if only black American men would got behind her more. Meanwhile, white men will be like, Asian men gonna be like, Latino men, they all gonna vote way less than us for her. But we gonna catch all the heat. It's gonna be a big divide. It's gonna be a smear campaign on who the Democrats can point the finger at and blame for the L. And when I say L, I don't mean LL Cool J. I mean the lose, the loss, the big loss at zero they're about to catch behind this Kamala thing, because she is not ready. And you know what? Maybe she's not supposed to be president. Maybe that's not her strong suit. Maybe the Peter principle's in place, which is people tend to get promoted to a position where they're incompetent. I think Kamala Harris was better staying in a Senate role. That's what I think. Where she could do all her remarks prepared. She doesn't have the gear. She don't have the charisma gear, guys. You need the charisma gear to do this job at this level, particularly coming after Obama. And Trump. Once again, Trump can go stand in front. They say all this crap about Trump. They take him out of context. A guy joking about Hannibal Lecter, that becomes a news bite. Like he really wants to eat people. Like the Democrats are so desperate to smear Trump because he can do what their candidate can't do. He can get on stage without a script and connect with his audience and just talk. It's my experience, people who can't do it always cheapen it and demean it because they can't do it. What they can't do, they demean it, of course. They try to make it a negative because they can't do it. I mean, people try to talk crap because they can't do this. That's not important. He's a clown. He jokes. That's part of delivering a message that's not boring. You don't have a disposition that's disarming. You're not able to get people inspired. You're not able to you don't have charisma. Probably never had it. That's important to be a leader. To be able to communicate. So it is what it is, man. And that's just one piece of it, man. That's just one piece. I'm going to see what the rest of what this gentleman had to say here. CNN. What other points? Are we going to just talk about that?
That historic decision to bow out of his campaign, endorse his vice president, Kamala Harris, and that sent her on to these last 6 weeks here. And there are a lot of questions that have been lingering out there for her to answer as we go into this fall campaign.
And in speaking with the campaign, they've made the point that you just did. It's been a busy 30-plus days. She's had a lot to do, not least of which was last week at the DNC. But as you note, that was all very scripted. So how much more revealing can an interview like this be for the voters? And I guess more importantly, for those undecideds who are still going to be making up their minds the next few weeks.
Yeah, so I don't think voters look at it like we do and say, oh, do an interview, take more questions.
And
we in the press
afterwards,
love
perhaps,
it.
when
but
something...
Exactly, but I do think voters learn valuable information from a candidate seeking the highest office in the land about how they think in these unscripted moments and how they think through a pressing challenge or question that they are being asked.
This is how to get a feel for you, folks. This is so important because I agree with him. It's not that voters are sitting back going, oh my God, I'd vote for her if only she did a sit-down interview. No. If you're a hardworking person and you're a person taking care of kids, living your life, you ain't sitting around waiting for interviews. But from an interview, there will be a clip that will show us something about you. It will demonstrate you interacting in a way. It'll be a moment. That's it. It'll be a moment, and it will hit different voters different ways. There'll be like 4 clips that come out of that interview. And then in one of those clips may possibly find its way to a website, a social, on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, someplace, X, where they see a side of you that resonates with them. It'll be something that came up that you said, and you may not even know what it is, but it'll hit home for them, and it will leave an impression.
The line now going to be, well, why isn't she doing it by herself?
Yeah, I do think people are going to bring that up. Look, I have great confidence in Dana and CNN to do this. I think it's incredibly weak sauce to show up with your running mate. The fact that they don't have enough confidence in her to let her sit herself, the actual top of the ticket, and do a single interview. In fact, I think the hand-wringing and the gyrations over this over the last month show a troubling lack of confidence in her political ability, which also makes you wonder as a voter, well, what kind of president would you be if this kind of a small-time decision, can we do an interview or not, What does that look like for your decision-making process, so on? So, yes, I think Republicans are going to think it's pretty weak to show up with effectively someone to take up half the time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Kind of lame. It's kind of lame. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think Americans are sitting back going, I don't think that the average person, just to kind of get into the head of the average person sitting at home when they find out about this, when they watch this interview, they'll be like, who's this guy? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to be the leader. Kamala Harris is supposed to be the leader. She's the president. Nobody voted for Tim. Well, shit, nobody voted for Kamala. That's bad, right? That's bad. When's the last time that happened? All right. Yeah, I know something happened before or whatever. That don't make it right. That doesn't mean that's a good precedence. That doesn't mean it's democratic. That doesn't mean it's the process. That the point is this. People are going to cut on their TVs. They're going to turn to this, and they're going to say, who's this old white guy sitting next to her? She's supposed to be the leader. She's supposed to do this, and you get to know her. Then you bring this guy no one cares about. He's like a crutch for her. Why we need her? Hey, look, if you're a left-type leaning person, you want him way more than you want her. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Hey, I don't rock with these guys anymore, but I know for a fact 75% of the people that are consider themselves lefty or left, I don't know about this radical left. I don't know many radical lefts. The real radical lefts don't participate in elections. Not with this two-party system, goofies. All right, but they only voted for Kamala if they do vote for her because of Tim Walz. And this is further reason why, you know, it's a bad ticket, like for a lot of reasons. But anyway, she's using Tim Walz as a crutch, frankly. And nowhere is it more evident than right now. You don't really think she's doing this to help Tim Walz. It's so weak. The fact that everyone on MSNBC and CNN and ABC and CBS and all the other networks are not saying this looks horrible, this is pathetic, this is dereliction of duty, this is unequivocally one of the most pathetic displays. This is repugnant, this is embarrassing. This is beyond embarrassing. Hide your face, lady. Don't come outside. All that dancing, and let's be really, really clear, all that don't matter. Kamala Harris is not doing a joint interview to help Tim Walz broaden his profile. Kamala Harris is doing a joint interview because Tim Walz is helping her. You know, 50 Cent never needed a young buck to be on the track with him. 50 Cent didn't need the game on the track. Okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Nas doesn't need backup dancers. Okay? Okay? Let's keep it a buck here. Yeah? Kendrick doesn't need someone, holding it down for him. Yeah, you can play all the hip-hop music and get the rights to him to play him on your show, but Beyonce, she doesn't need a singer to co-sign, to co-sing with her. All right? You can't buy it. Yeah, you can get picked by Joe Biden to be VP. You can let the Democratic Party choose you to be his successor. But you can't get picked to be president. You have to be elected. Votes are earned, not given.